The crypto trigger may be starting today. We'll break it down for you. There are some pros and some cons. We'll break it all down. It's going to be a good show today. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. This is where you can get your own crypto IRA, and there is some very cool things that you can do with iTrust. One of the things, of course, you can get into gold and silver, into a ton of assets, and also into custody. And one of the things I would do right now is, of course, get this set up, because there's a couple of things that you need to do as you get ready for taxes. And the benefit, of course, is setting up all things around crypto IRAs. These are great tax benefits. Obviously, you want to consult your own tax attorney, but this is a great start to get going. Use our link down below. It gets you a $100 funding reward to get going there with iTrust. Let's go over to a couple of tweets here I want to hit on. First was Eleanor Terra talking about the White House and them hosting the representatives from the banking and the crypto industries. This is happening. It's happening today. Problem is that it's not going to be really any decision makers. This is, I think, more of, again, a tip your toe in the water kind of situation. Possibly the White House even looking at how and what positions the banks are trying to manifest, as well as crypto industry in general. But it is some movement, and I think that's the main thing you have to look. So that is a pro. I think this still applies to where we're going. We are seeing crypto firms and banks obviously aligned here. The question is will they get aligned at this meeting, or does this meeting roll them back into talking with their CEO leads and then coming to some sort of resolution to basically move clarity forward? And I think that will be the big question, is how and what is the result coming out of that meeting today. It's not really about who's there. It's more of the result. Like, hey, this is what we decided. These are the things we're going to go back to our counterparts on and get into it. Clarity Act right now still holding pretty much a dead heat at around 57% on getting into law for 2026. That's a good thing. I mean, the fact that we are up in the 57% range over on Polymarket still shows a lot of faith of where this is going. Now, there are some issues, though, that are now finger pointing, and usually after finger pointing comes, negotiations, and then negotiations you get a clarity resolution. But listen to this clip right here. Take a look.
Where do you stand on this? Do you think crypto platforms should be able to pay rewards, pay customers for moving stablecoin or money out of traditional bank deposit accounts and keep them on crypto platforms? Where are you on that issue?
Again, Maria, I think what we're seeing in the crypto market over the past few months means more than ever that the U.S., we need market structure, we need clarity, and we need to get this across the line this spring. We got a few recalcitrant actors who said, well, it'd be better to have no legislation than the legislation we don't want. And I think both on the banks, the other crypto firms are united against them. So we need to get this across the line, the U.S., and for crypto to remain a viable digital asset and move forward, we need to get this Clarity Act done.
So you think it'll come back fairly soon then?
I'm optimistic, and there's bipartisan support here.
All right, he's optimistic, but I am not optimistic in the point that this is the Trump administration calling out the lead dog in terms of where this movement has kind of spawned from, and that is Coinbase. So whether you agree or you don't agree, you do want clarity, you don't want clarity, you want stablecoin yields, or you want to yield to the banks in not allowing stablecoin yields, it doesn't really matter. The fact that we have the U.S. government calling out major corporations publicly traded, because this is going to potentially hurt their stock, which hurts investors, that is a problem. I don't like those kind of things. You have to kind of keep those issues out of it. Patrick McHenry also hits up an interesting point on timing here, because this is getting very close to the deadline that the Trump administration has actually already set. Take a look.
You heard from Patrick Witt about the group he brought together on yield. Crypto came in and said, look, we want to negotiate. We actually want a reasonable compromise here, a reasonable approach to yield. And the bank sat there and listened and offered nothing. Well, that's not going to last long in Washington if the group that is holding it up, the banking industry, is unwilling to negotiate on something that has to be resolved to unlock market structure. It will be resolved. It's going to be rough going, But it's going to be, the president will have a bill signing ceremony on market structure, on clarity, before Memorial Day.
So what he is saying there is that they've already planned this in the Rose Garden. There's a ceremony that is set up right now by the Trump administration that is putting a lot of pressure on, obviously, Congress to get this done. But more importantly, I think it's putting some pressure on the banking industry and even the crypto industry to get this moving forward. My anticipation is this is going to get passed possibly very soon without stablecoin yields. I know many of you would say, that's ridiculous, we don't need that. But remember, guys, this is, I think, a step in many steps moving forward that is basically putting the U.S. hopefully at the center of where digital assets are going to be going. All right, so when you look at the pros and the cons, one of the things you have to look at is where are we in the bear cycle? And I think this is a good example. Bitcoin 60K crash, this of course is where we've seen it, down where it's hovering between 60 and 70 right now. Could be the halfway point. No, I don't mean the halfway point in terms of the price, halfway point in terms of the market cycle of a bear market. That's the question that I think a lot of people are pointing to. Do you think it's going to go ahead and go sub 60 if this does elongate out further, meaning clarity? Or do you think we have hit the bottom? Let me know in the comments down below if you guys think we have hit the bottom. Now, the other thing that could be a pro, but also a con, is the fact that Trump's crypto czar, David Sacks, I think his job's on the line. And that's a pro because this means this guy's going to work. He's going to get it done. And he doesn't want to go down as the guy who failed President Trump. That's his biggest worry right now. The man who failed President Trump and his wishes to get crypto for America. If Sacks doesn't get this through, this will be a big problem. And I think that's why it's a pro, because it's going to push him to really get a solution in order. And then, of course, another, I think, pro on this. This is Patrick Witt kind of talking about not the message you want to be sending crypto community before midterms. This, whether you like it one way or the other, they went after, this being the Democrats, went after President Trump and also kind of mocked to the crypto industry in general. So if you're an investor out there, great. Thanks for reminding us that we continue to see a crash inbound. All right, so let's take a look at a clip because this gets into the timing around where all of this could take place for the current administration. Take a look.
If I can put you on the spot, Patrick, when does the president sign the Clarity Act into law?
Well, I have a birthday coming up, so let's say April 3rd. How about that?
If that's real, I don't know if April 3rd is something that Witt is timing into it, or is he speaking in code to, you know, what's happening there with Patrick McHenry. Point being is that this could happen much sooner. This, of course, would be a very big pro for where the market is going. One other thing to consider here is what BlackRock wants, BlackRock gets. This is the kind of thing that we've seen with the ETFs. That's another pro, I guess, if you look at this. But they, of course, are all in on tokenized assets and where this is going to be going in the market. That's why they want it in play. Let's go over to another tweet real quick, because this is where it gets in kind of interesting. The fact that Xstocks now has tokenized equities available for lending, leverage, and yield. And I anticipate we're going to see, you know what next, probably vaults, all of that, very pro for where this can play out in terms of clarity, but also in the market itself. This is kind of interesting right here. Another pro is that these are the super PACs that are entering 2026. MAGA's PAC 304 mil. Then you got Fairshake, which is pro crypto, 191 mil. Point being, here is a lot of money that is pointed right at this market and all of those who oppose where this is heading. So be on the lookout. We could see some people getting primaried if things don't fall the way they should in this bipartisan votes as we go forward. Another point that you have to look at that I guess is a pro is that Trump's family is also all in on crypto. The family has made almost $3.5 billion from crypto in just 16 months. I don't think they want that faucet to turn off. And in fact, they've got a big event coming up February 18th, the World Liberty Forum, that I anticipate they're going to continue to move into a direction where we'll see a lot of activity coming out of it. Maybe there's some timing here that could also be aligned with that. All right, so let's get into the cons of clarity not passing. Here are some items that I want to break down for you. Of course, one of the big ones is a slowdown, and that would happen if we do see a government shutdown by February 14th. And the likelihood of that is still floating very, very high right now. If you look at the poly market, 74% or so. So that is a con going forward. Also on poly market is the balance of power is starting to shift. And guess what? The Republicans have really started to drop in terms of the potential. The Republican Senate and Democrat House is right now the lead, with Democrats sweep at 36%. So this is another con that, of course, would slow things down if we don't get at least the ability to get a bipartisan approach toward crypto and how this works. All right, another point that you want to look at is that the U.S. strikes Iran by a certain date. And as you look further into the month there, all the way into almost June, you're at 54%. So the possibility is that this could happen. This is why timing is very critical here for clarity to get done before Congress and D.C. gets consumed with maybe a conflict with Iran. So more issues that kind of point in that direction. The other thing, Tom Lee not mentioning a word about clarity. Why is that? Why is the number one ETH man not going after clarity? That's to me is a con in terms of maybe it's not passing. Maybe it doesn't matter to Tom Lee. Banks also have formalized their opposition to giving crypto and fintech firms direct access to Federal Reserve's payment system. This is something we've seen for a while, but the banks are turning it up, and they have more money than anyone when it comes to lobbies hitting into the market. And if they put the pressure on, especially on the lobby side, another con that hits in. Big banks currently earn $360 billion annually from payments and deposits. They're now lobbying to kill these rewards because the real competition, let's boil down to, it means that Congress is going to be able to pick winners and losers. That's not something that the banks want, for sure, especially for the situation of their profit and loss statements going forward. CoinDesk, of course, this is kind of interesting. This was put out. JP Morgan cuts Coinbase in terms of their price target from $3.99 to $90. I don't know if this is a troll or is this, obviously this is JP Morgan and Coinbase going head to head. JP Morgan put out an analyst offering here that's considerably lower with times like this. And of course, maybe that makes sense. But again, you have to be very cognizant that you have investors acting on this, JP Morgan. So this is something that whether you're trolling or having fun or not, I think this is a serious issue that is a bad thing for where this may align with crypto. One other thing to consider here is where do the lines draw when it comes to the Republicans and the Democrats? Democrats are after Trump and the administration for doing things like this, trading meme coins and being involved directly into World Liberty Fi, all those kind of things. That's the problem, is that is a red line that the Republicans won't let happen, and the Democrats want to pierce that veil and get into it. So that is another issue. Don't forget, Melania was also launched right after the Trump token. And remember, we saw a lot of this happen. Many people in the industry were just fed up with it. But I think now what you're dealing with is a real situation where the bipartisan connectivity is starting to break apart because of this issue. One other thing is this. This is a Forbes article that basically is talking about Binance and CZ, who, remember, was pardoned and now holds 87% of Trump's stablecoin. That's not all, guys. We are seeing all sorts of things coming out in the Epstein files as they continue to drop. So are we going to see something that could be, next level event coming out of these files as they continue to hit the market? All of these are definitely red herrings around a potential no clarity act going forward. All right, so ending on a good note, and that, of course, is this right here, that we have a pro SEC. And Paul Atkins, you'll line that with a pro now CFTC, and we may get clarity without actually having the requirement of Congress being involved. So that could line up to where a lot of companies will have the benefit. Now, can that get affected with the next administration? Sure it can. But at least this is definitely in the right direction. So we're going to continue to cover this. Of course, obviously, the issue is faced right now with when will this occur? Because timing is now everything. As we watch Bitcoin struggle in the 60 to 70K range, it is going to be a very busy week. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.